Hello, dear friends. Every human being takes the limits of his own field of vision to be the limits of the world. Arthur Schopenhauer. Opinion piece. Shape shifters. Metamorphs. Hybrid beings. Invisible parasites. Harvesters of pain. The origin of suffering. From slavery to freedom. From control to luminous ascension. Collapse between shadows and light. Let's start. Metamorphosis is the transformation of something or someone into something else. A space shifter is a being that changes shape. The space shifters of the Matrix are the subject of Mr. Kitzbühel's latest report. For thousands of years, humanity has been ruled by a non-human interdimensional space-shifting species known as the Serpent Archons. William Tompkins, Alex Collier, Elena Danaan, Michael Sala, Ismael Perez, David Icke, and others have explained the dynamics of this abusive and complex relationship. According to ancient Sumerian, Gnostic, and Zulu traditions, these beings came to Earth to exploit the planet's resources and the life force of its inhabitants. They exist primarily in the lower fourth dimension, outside our visible light spectrum, but can manifest in our physical world through genetic hybridation and the use of advanced frequency masking technology. They are the hidden hand behind the world's most powerful bloodlines, using the global elite as their representatives to control humanity. The space shifters are collectors of high-intensity emotional energy, such as fear, pain, and suffering, which they consume to survive. This is the true reason our world remains in a state of war, poverty, and division. Collection. The Cabal organizes massive ritual events disguised as entertainment or tragedy to trigger global emotional peaks which these space shifters feed on. They have turned Earth into a gigantic emotional farm, while the livestock humanity is kept on a low-frequency state to ensure a constant supply of food for their interdimensional masters. The highest levels of the world hierarchy are actual hybrids. Their DNA resonates with the frequency of the fourth dimension, allowing them to be overshadowed or possessed by scaly entities. This is the origin of the shape-shifting reports from witnesses who have seen world leaders' eyes momentarily turn into vertical slits on their skin, or their skin acquire scaly texture during high-stress situations. They are not actually evil humans, they are an entirely different species that sees humanity as a resource, not as equals. Cleansing. The coalition has revealed that the Ophidian network has been dismantled. The White Hats and their cosmic allies have managed to clear the enormous underground hives where these space-shifting beings resided, and have deactivated the frequency fences that kept them anchored to our reality. As the frequency rises to the fifth dimension, these space-shifting entities cannot survive in our atmosphere. The Great Liberation will include the truth about our non-human rulers and the end of the harvest of pain. The predator is disappearing, and the human spirit is reclaiming its sovereignty. The farm will be shut down forever. You were told that violence and fear were part of human nature. They lied to hide the fact that they exploited your emotions to survive. The fence has fallen, and the shepherd is gone. You are a divine creator, not a food resource or source. Raise your frequency and you will become invisible to darkness. Draconians. The Draconians were one of the 3 evil empires in the galaxy that threatened balance and justice, according to Elisa Arias. They were at the center of a 300,000 years war that spanned entire sectors of the Milky Way. In 2021, the coalition broke their grip on Earth and arrested their leaders. This story will be shared with the public when the coalition deems it ready, as humanity has been subjected to the control of visible and invisible forces, manipulated, indoctrinated, and deceived in the worst possible way. Few human beings are aware of these facts, but they will be in time. The current operation is designed to break the artificial matrix that was erected to keep humanity in a state of energetic imprisonment by a race that hated human beings but used them as food. Humanity is freeing itself from its wounds. It's a process of dismantling the mental barriers caused by the long-term generational trauma that all human beings have suffered in one way or another. Complete healing will take time, so be patient with yourself and with those who still don't know the origin of evil and why the world is transitioning from darkness to light, from slavery to freedom and sovereignty, and from being bound to the earth to soaring beyond the stars. Testimonies. Former Navy engineer and pilot William Tompkins revealed that the Draconians ruled Earth, that humans were their slaves, that the moon was a gigantic alien command and control center disguised as a natural satellite, and that humanity has been deceived in every way imaginable for thousands of years. People can laugh all they want, but at some point they have to face truth. In fact, they already are. The serpentine level is just one part. There is much more. Human cloning was used as the primary method. Infiltration was carried out by the serpents. Through these clones, they could control them using consciousness transfer technology. The scaly ones and the greys created their own race to infiltrate the world. They used technology to control the elite and cloned humanity in order to annihilate the population. The current status of humanity is like a seed planted in the earth, and now that seed is a flower about to bloom. According to Jade, it just needs the right conditions. Nothing can stop this flower from opening. Everything is going better than expected. There were some setbacks, but everything worked out in the end. Times can be stressful, and things may seem to be at a standstill, but everyone is doing what he needs to do and is where he needs to be, or she. According to Mike Adams, the globalists are panicking over decentralized AI. The plan was based on replacing human decision-making with obedient machines and keeping the masses dependent on censored and controlled sources of information. Open source AI threatens this at its very core. It allows people to think for themselves, innovate without permission, and communicate freely across borders, which undermines the entire control network. This system knows that open source is the enemy of its monopoly on knowledge. Ufology. RFK Jr. spoke about alien species in a meeting at the Department of Health, or Health Department. According to Dr. Field, Dr. Phil stated that the White House contacted him for his opinion on the files, which included analyzing how the public might react to learning that humans are in a different place in the food chain of the universe. Lieutenant Colonel Tom Lennox claimed that Donald Trump traveled to Jupiter, headquarters of the Galactic Federation. He links the conflict in Iran to the existence of portals and maintains that time travel technology inherited from Nikola Tesla was used to awaken humanity. Dr. Phil claims there has been a massive cover-up, citing declassified documents from 1947 onward, and argues that the public can assimilate the information if provided with context and psychological support. He criticizes the intentional low quality of released footage and argues that higher quality recordings exist. Area 51. Lily Nova reported that between July 24th and 27th, a large fire occurred near Area 51, and there was an attack on coalition lunar facilities. During those 3 days, she perceived a huge camouflaged benevolent spacecraft over Area 51, which was attacked with laser and energy weapons. The fire was attributed to lightning, though she interprets it as a cover for an internal conflict. This testimony coincides with Ismael Perez's report. Her perception led her to subterranean levels, where she observed a confrontation between dark alien factions and the Positive Alliance, laboratories with bodies in tubes, and cloning experiments. She compared the incident to the confrontation described by Phil Snyder at the Dulce base in New Mexico. Nova claims that the Area 51 underground base was part of a network connected to facilities across the country and the planet. According to her vision, the forces of a positive coalition are intervening base by base to dismantle regressive projects. Lily Nova's revelations paint a picture of a world undergoing through internal collision. From the burning tunnels of Area 51 to the frequency shifting chambers on the moon, the message is clear. The status quo is collapsing. USA. Trump poses 50% tariffs on Canada for 3 days and assures there is an agreement. US creates a secret corridor to facilitate the export of oil from the Strait of Hormuz, according to Axios. Silicon Valley giants impose limits on the technology they themselves create. Limits in their own home. NASA highlights the golden color displayed by the solar corona during the total solar eclipse observed in Spain. A spacecraft loses control, thwarting the rescue of a NASA telescope valued at $500 million. Europe. Macron enacts a law legalizing euthanasia and assisted suicide in France. The EU admits it tracks UFOs. Euronews revealed a letter from the European Commission's Defence Department confirming that the EU has been monitoring unidentified aerial phenomena since at least 2023. The letter states that they are improving in their ability to detect and identify them as their technological capabilities improve, but we need to improve even further. Spain. In July, Spain remained the Eurozone's largest economy with the highest inflation at 3.9%, almost 4%. The EU supports the return to Morocco of unaccompanied migrant children in Ceuta. Spain ignores the EU and prepares to transfer 500 migrant girls from Ceuta to the Spanish mainland. Spanish Navy frigates are now operating in the southern Bay of Ceuta. A new earthquake of magnitude 3.4 struck with its epicenter in Dilar, Granada. Granada was shaken again by earthquakes that caused evacuations and landslides. Geologists say the Granada earthquake is within normal range. Renfe is preparing to its entry into Portugal after difficulties expanding in France. Temperatures continue to climb, reaching up to 42 degrees in southern Spain, before dropping yesterday, Thursday, as storms arrive in the north. Americas. Mexico faces a debt exceeding 50% of its GDP. Mexico and the US signed an agreement to purchase drones and counter unnamed aerial vehicle systems in plural. The earthquake in Colombia affected the poorest population according to the UN. De la Espriella highlighted progress toward the US suspending its tariffs on Colombia. A ruling by the International Court of Justice in The Hague prevented a war between Nicaragua and Colombia over a dispute in the Caribbean. Peru will declare a state of emergency in regions affected by heavy rains. Keiko Fujimori faces her first protest in Peru amid the fuel crisis. Gasoline shortages have driven up fuel prices in Bolivia. Bolivia has authorized the import of diesel for private companies. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.